converted that over. That's 3 3/4 liters. So 1 milliliter per liter, I got to multiply the 1 milliliter by 3 3/4. So I wound up with 3 3/4 milliliters. Now I got to get the milliliters over to teaspoons, which equates to approximately 0.75 teaspoons. And because these are young trees, I'm going to go a little less than that. So I'm going to go with a half a teaspoon. Oh, y'all, math hurts, right? So I'm going to go with, hey everybody, welcome to MyFigStix for Fig Addiction, y'all. It's a year-round habit. In today's video, we're going to talk about fertilizer. Wait, we're going to talk about what? Yes, we're going to talk about fertilizer at the end of November. Y'all, I'm working with FiggyEd on an experiment. How hard can we push our fig trees under grow lights indoors? Now, my grow light setup is not FiggyEd's grow light setup, but it's FiggyEd-esque, we'll call it. I'm set up in the garage, you guys, with 3 plants that I can fit under a couple of grow lights, and we're going to test this fertilizer. We'll talk about that in just a second and see just how much we can push our trees over the winter months to get a jump start on next spring. Y'all, have you seen Mike Kincaid's latest video? Whew, boy, my wheels are turning up there. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out because, yeah, I'm gonna have something coming on that. But let's take a look at these fertilizers. Let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna take some measurements. We're gonna look at 3 trees in 3 different stages of growth. Take some measurements. I wanna know what's going on before, during, and after this experiment. Let's go take a look at what we're going to be trying. Okay, so let's talk about the plan. First off, y'all, what are we going to be doing? We are testing out this fertilizer line. It's Advanced Nutrients. Connoisseur is the line. Now, Connoisseur has 2 parts and then 2 parts. So you have a grow part A and B, and you have a bloom part A and B. We will talk about the bloom later. We're going to start with grow this week. So the idea here is that we're going to use the grow 1 week. We're going to use the bloom the next week. Each one of these has different nutrients in it that will, some kind of strange bug. Each one of these has different nutrients in it that will spur on growth and even bloom when we get to that. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have some notes here, so I'm going to be looking at these. I've done some research. I wanted to give you all as much information as I could. First off, I'm pretty sure I'm in East Texas. I'm probably on a watch list now somewhere because I kept reading that this was developed by growers for growers. Y'all call me naive. It took me couple different websites to figure out what they were referring to, and we all know those growers are not in Texas because we're not allowed. But all that said, imagine that growers came up with this idea, and who better to develop fertilizers than those with big businesses. But we're going to talk about the different types of advanced nutrients. Now, I'm again got notes. Basically, both sets, both the grow and the bloom, they contain all different micro, macro, and even secondary nutrients. And they're chelated. Y'all, I had to look up what chelation means. So basically, chelations helps bind the nutrients in a way to make them more available for plant uptake. There you go. That's the definition. But basically, it ensures that essential nutrients are easily absorbed by the roots. This Connoisseur is also, one of the things it talks about is that it is pH balance. It is going to keep the pH in our pots very balanced. And again, a balanced pH, the proper pH helps in nutrient uptake. It contains humic and what's the other one? Amino acids. So those are 2 of the nutrients that it has. Now, I also want to talk about the difference between grow A and grow B. So I took notes on that too. So let me flip the little page here. So part A, which is Yeah, this one. So part A, this one is the NPK on it is 400. So it's got a little bit of nitrogen, no phosphorus, no potassium, but it does contain calcium, and the calcium really helps in root growth. It has magnesium. Magnesium really aids in chlorophyll production and photosynthesis. It has iron, that is for chlorophyll synthesis and um, overall plant growth. And then the manganese helps with nitrogen utilization. So the manganese in part A is going to basically help the plant convert that nitrogen that it needs for the growth. And all of this is vital for great plant growth. Now, we have to use them together. We can't use part A and not use part B. We can't use part B and not use part A. They're a combo. We have to use them together. So part B is a little bit different. This one, NPK 1, 2, 7. So 1 nitrogen, 2 phosphorus, 7 potassium. So think about that. So part B, this is going to really flood it with that potassium. So the phosphorus in part B, that is going to help with our root development and energy transfer. So we're going to take in that energy from the roots. The phosphorus is going to help us transfer that into plant growth. The potassium aids in the root health. We all understand that from potassium. However, something that I didn't realize was that potassium also helps with disease resistance and just overall plant resilience. So that's what we're looking at in parts A and B. That's the nutrients that we are going to be adding to these plants. So let's get some measurements. Let's get some good before and after pictures. We'll talk about the different ones and kind of where they are in their growth cycle, and then we'll add the fertilizer. All right, let's talk about our first subject here. This is a Blanc. FiggyEd gave me this tree. I figured it was only the right thing to do to use a tree given to me by FiggyEd on an experiment with FiggyEd. So this is a Blanc. Y'all, I got it. I think it was the end of August, first part of September. I don't really remember. I know that I potted it up sometime mid-September. So we're a couple months into this pot. It hasn't really done a whole lot other than just look pretty. Here recently, I have noticed, and I'll try to get some zoomed in pictures. Maybe I'll put it up in the corner or maybe over the whole thing. But I have noticed that it started to put on some new growth just here recently. So with the Blanc, I want to see what is this Connoisseur going to do to this brand new growth. It's very young growth. It's been under the first cold snap we had, I guess it was the first or maybe the second weekend in November. This tree came indoors and has been under the grow light since. And now I'm starting to see a little bit of growth. I don't know if that has anything to do with the grow light. It's been what, 2 weeks, I guess. I guess it's been almost a month, though. It's been almost 4 weeks. I don't know if the grow light's doing that or what. Maybe it just decided to take off. But that's what I want to see. What does the Connoisseur do for all of this new little baby growth on the Blanc? Okay, next is going to be another FiggyEd gift. This is an Angelito. Gave me this one the same time it got potted up, the same time, mid-September. So we've been in the pot for a little over 2 months. Y'all, in the last 3 weeks, all of this growth has happened. In the last 3 weeks, this guy's been under the grow light just the same amount of time as the Blanc. So about about 4 weeks it's been under the grow light. I can't help but think this is all the grow light's doing. But I want to see what can this guy do with the Connoisseur. One thing I want to do as well is take some measurements. So I know I'm just going to say it's been a month. So all of this has happened in a month. Y'all, I used to have a yardstick. I know, crazy, but I did. That is since been lost. But I'm going to take a measurement. I want to see just how tall this tree is right now. So to the top of the apical bud, we're right at 19 inches. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom in well enough for y'all to see that. but maybe I can get lucky and zoom in. But right here, I think is right at 19 inches, maybe just a hair more. That's to the top of the apical bud. It's not putting on any other side growth. However, and I'll try to zoom in on this as well, but if you see right down here at the bottom, we've got 2 new small buds. I think that's going to be new limbs or scaffold growth. So what will our Connoisseur do for the Angelito? I want to know how much more height we get on this guy. I want to see if these 2 little buds down here will go ahead and break free and take off. So that's the Angelito. I'm just going to slide him out of the way. Maybe y'all will recognize this one. Y'all, this is my I-258. Hopefully you've been watching my other videos and you saw me top my I-258. This is what it looks like now in the pot. I think we're 3 weeks in the pot now. Have to look back and see. But this tree is looking very, very healthy. It's got little bitty buds, and I'll try to, again, I'll put an overlay video. It's got little bitty buds everywhere on this tree. So I want to see if this Connoisseur is going to create all of these buds or allow all of these buds to really burst and go. What's it going to do? So you can kind of see that these 3 trees are in 3 kind of different stages of growth. We've got the Blanc, which hasn't really done much, but is starting to show a few signs of apical buds. We've got the Angelito, which is growing like a weed, but has a couple of buds. I want to see if they'll take off. I want to know if we can make this top growth go even faster. And then we've got the I-258, which is a recent air layer. While I believe it's rooted well, it's got little buds all over it. So what will the Connoisseur do for all of those buds? That's what we're going to find out. So let's talk about how we're going to mix up the fertilizer, our ratio, and we'll go ahead and get that added to these trees. Okay, y'all, I had to call a little bit of an audible here, and we'll discuss why I'm now holding this larger watering can. But when I looked up the measurements, we want to mix this Connoisseur. We want to mix it up. What they're calling for week 1 of grow is 1 milliliter per liter. So I was planning on using these, which are about a half a liter, because I don't want to have a lot left over, because the next application of the grow, we're going to go 2 milliliters per liter. All right. So I had to convert all that. Basically, I had a gallon of water in total in these 2. So I converted that over. That's 3 3/4 liters. So 1 milliliter per liter, I got to multiply the 1 milliliter by 3 3/4. So I wound up with 3 3/4 milliliters. Now I got to get the milliliters over to teaspoons, which equates to approximately 0.75 teaspoons. And because these are young trees, I'm going to go a little less than that. So I'm going to go with a half a teaspoon. Oh, y'all, math hurts, right? So I'm going to go with a half a teaspoon per 1 gallon of water for this first application of the grow parts A and B. So here we go. Let's get this measured up, and then we'll get it applied, and hopefully we will see results fairly soon. Okay, so again, what Advanced Nutrients is calling for is, in our case, half a teaspoon per 1 gallon for both the part A and the part B. So I'm going to get that mixed up. I have some little measuring spoons here. So here's the half a teaspoon. Again, it's the first week. So 1 milliliter per liter of each, which we've determined we're going to use half a teaspoon per gallon of water of each of these. Probably should have opened these before I started the video. I have a bad tendency to do that. It also says to shake well, so let's get that shaken up. Okay, so here we go. Oh, it's kind of a weird red color. I'm gonna, as best I can, just get a half a teaspoon. And there we go. So there's a half a teaspoon, maybe a couple extra drops in there. And that was, let's see, that was the part A. So let's add the part B, same amount. We're going with half a teaspoon per gallon here. Let's try to open this one a little different. Maybe I don't make such a mess. And shake it up. Good grief. So we'll get this shaken up real well. All right. This one is clear or white. No, looks clear. Okay, so that's it. A half a teaspoon per gallon of water of each, the A and B. Now I'm going to get that mixed up really well, and then we'll add it to our trees. All right, I got it all mixed up well, y'all. There's a gallon in here. I'm going to try to as evenly distribute this between the 3 plants as I can. And we're just going to try to get them watered in. Maybe you can, not that y'all care to see the water, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep it around the base, but also branching out. I know there are plenty of roots reaching out in all of these. This I-258, considerably younger, may not quite have the root established as well. No, we'll get this one. Probably should have moved him over a little bit, but so each of these is getting about 1/3 of a gallon. Kind of just using my head to measure what they're getting. That's why I was going to use the smaller containers, but it just didn't work out for me. All right. There we go. So that's about 1/3 of a gallon in each one of these plants. We're going to see how this connoisseur reacts to these trees. Does it really push the growth even more so than they already have? I'm going to get these back under the grow light, and I'm going to let y'all see my FiggyEd-esque grow light setup. But again, watch that video from Mike Kincaid. Sure has me thinking, but let's go take a look at these inside under my grow lights. All right, y'all, you have to excuse my mess, but this is my indoor grow light setup for figs for now. Again, I watched that Mike Kincaid video, and I have got some ideas on what I can do to improve this. We'll take some pretty extensive garage cleanup, but this is what I've got going on. I have these guys. They are sitting on a heat mat, kind of. I'm going to have to get a little bit larger heat mat, but I also have that rigged up to a thermostat. I have not put the thermostat back into, or the thermocouple back into the pot yet, but my garage, you can see, is sitting at 67.4 degrees. Y'all, the lights I'm using are Mars Hydro. I do not remember the wattage on them, but this is where these guys are gonna sit. I will probably take them out each time I water them and let them drain somewhere other than my garage. But for now, this is what I've got going on. So let's see what the connoisseur can do for our plants indoors under grow lights. Okay, y'all, this is the start of a new experiment me and FiggyEd are running. We're testing this advanced nutrients connoisseur. What can it do to my young fig trees indoors under a grow light? Now, I think FiggyEd has a little different variation using the same fertilizer, but I think on much more established trees. I'll let him explain that one to all of you, but stick around. We're going to check in each week. Next week, we're going to start on the bloom version of the connoisseur. These are all in series, right? So advanced nutrients says grow one week, bloom the next. So that's what we're going to do. So y'all stick around, like, subscribe, hit that little bell, get notifications when these new experiment videos come out. Fig addiction's a real thing, y'all. And as you can see, it's a year-round habit. Thanks for watching.